But the top story of the day, the government is reopening, and I have to tell you, the Democratic Civil War is underway. Let's first listen to Bernie Sanders. He's none too pleased about this deal. Here's what he had to say last night.
And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted, but tonight, that is not what happened.
Is that what it's about? Just throwing a monkey wrench into the gears of government because Donald Trump is the president? Is that all it's really about? Listen to Dick Durbin, senator from Illinois. Now, he's one of the people that opened the government. He voted to do it. Listen to what he admits right here. He admits that the Democratic shutdown strategy was going to cause people to starve to death. Listen to Durbin.
Many of my friends are unhappy. They think we should have kept our government closed indefinitely to protest the policies of the Trump administration. I share their opinions of this administration, but cannot accept a strategy which wages political battle at the expense of my neighbor's paycheck or the food for his children. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Listen to what he said. He called the shutdown a, quote, political strategy that was going to starve people and cost them their paychecks. That is a Democrat, Dick Durbin of Illinois, admitting what we have all known all along. This shutdown was nothing more than politics. Chuck Schumer and a big chunk of his party live in fear of the radical left. They decided to shut down the government to show the radical left they were willing to fight Donald Trump and Trumpism, just as Bernie Sanders said. They never had a plan to get out of it. They did like doing it because it ginned up their base ahead of Tuesday's elections, last Tuesday. But once the elections came and went, they had no idea how to get out of it. So, finally, 8 Democrats caved in and joined with the Republicans to reopen the government. They got nothing. They got no promises of anything of substance. They got nothing at all. They exposed themselves as being craven political actors. And in the process, they have exposed, with this debate over health care, the absolute failure that Obamacare has been for the American people.
I love Scott Jennings, man. That guy is a bright man. You know what I love? I love seeing Democrats freak out, fall apart. You can't handle the truth. Man, it's been a beautiful day. I got to say, after yesterday, the breaking down of the Democrats caving in on the shutdown, I covered it last night, and we're going to go more into tonight about why it's a good thing, even though we didn't get everything we wanted out of it. But the reaction of the left should tell you all you need to know. They are very, very pissed off. And I love it. I love it. Anyways, welcome tonight, guys. Welcome to American Fire. I'm Ace. I'm your host. Tonight, we're going to go through all the news of the day, break it down, what it means, why MAGA is crushing it, even when the narratives are trying to tell a different story. We're going to cut through the narratives. We're going to tell you what's really going on in the nation today. And it's good stuff. We're going to have a fun time tonight too, because the leftists are freaking it out. And we love it. We love it so much. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. It's cold here. I'm having tea. I got my hoodie on. Staying warm, this cold front coming in from the east. So we're going to, get cozy and let's get into it for the next hour or so, breaking it all down. And before we get started, again, hit that like, subscribe, and let me shout out some of these good peeps in the Chizat. What's up, guys? For those who are new to the show, I do interact with the chat. I love the chat. So I try to catch the best beautiful stuff, hit up the people I know, and answer your questions to the best of my ability. So please feel free to blow up the chat. No trolling. Those will be removed by the mods. But other than that, you're welcome to be here, and disagreements are welcome as long as they're respectful. All right, let's see who made it here. Toe Cramp numero uno tonight. What's up, buddy? Just Mike, US1. How you doing? Frank Anastasio, Steve Bernard, Shogun, Nick Majors, Armand, what's up, man? Good to see you, buddy. It's been a little bit. Wago Waco, Scott Volkovich, Vince Felice. It did suck. It was a terrible game. Rum Dog, still in the filibuster. I know. Well, let's hope. The other Rum Dog, what's up? 2 Rum Dogs tonight. Heidi Moga, what's going on? Kim Wiley, good to see you, Kim. It's been a little bit. And Heidi. Cass Sink, what's up? The one, what it do? Yeah, I was a little late tonight. I'm sorry. Linda Telly, how are you, friend? Alice Fordham, what's going on? And let's see what else is in here. Al Krentz, play something to remind me of you. I love my wife. Oh, man, come on. Do you really need that reminder? Is that where we're at right now? Chris Albers, what's going on? Stephanie Bridges, how you doing? Richie Rich, my guy. Kathy, how we doing tonight? And Ever Trumper, what's up, my brother? Good to see you. 65. Where are you at, Nick? It is in the 30s here tonight, which isn't, it's not crazy cold. It's not like Midwest or Northern cold, but it's North Carolina cold. I'll say that. It's North Carolina cold, and it's, it is what it is. So I never called you a troll, my friend. Did somebody calling you out for being a troll? No, that's funny. That's funny. Scott Jennings is going to run, I believe. I believe he's going to be running in Kentucky, and he will be an excellent addition to the Republican side of things. He will be, I think he's going to run for a House seat, is what I was hearing. And there's murmurs that Trump wants to. Now Trump already endorsed somebody against Massey, but you never know. Scott could throw his head in that ring as well. So who knows? But anyways, Brett says hit that button like Kamala hit a box of Franzia. Oh man, if only Kamala could weigh in on this. I mean, plenty of others did. Look at this. These peeps freaking in. Oh, you're in California. Oh, Huntington Beach. Oh, Huntington Beach, beautiful this time of year. Look at the freakouts here on Blue Sky. By the way, my viewers just dropped like crazy on YouTube. I lost about half of them. So, guys, would you let me know if we're hitting did we hit a pause or a glitch in the stream? Usually that's when I lose people. So just let me know if that's happening. I'll make adjustments if I can. Over on Blue Sky, today has not been a good day for lefties. They were hoping the shutdown would continue, even though it's their peeps who are suffering the most. I mean, federal employees are overwhelmingly left. SNAP benefit people, yeah, there's a bunch of them on the right who are on SNAP, but it's not, the right are not as much as the freeloaders. They're not. On the right, it's mostly the people who just, need help for a little bit getting by, maybe live in a really poor area where there's not good work, rural areas. And on the left, though, you got the peeps really trying to take advantage, and they're the ones who think the government should take control of them. So SNAP benefits mostly impacting the left. The government employees being furloughed, laid off, mostly impacting the left. And yet, they're happy to eat their own so long as it hurts Trump's approval ratings. How sick is that? That tells you all you need to know about where the left is these days. Well, you see it all over here. I think Senate folders are significantly underestimating how effing angry Democratic voters are at them. Brooklyn, we're going to Chuck's. Bring pots and pans. Let's make some noise about Chuck folding. I don't like the phrase moderate Democrat to describe people who folded. Caving to Trump is the extremist position. It goes on and on and on. They can't help themselves. They're so angry. And then over on X, it's very much the same. Very, very angry people. Go F yourself, Chuck Schumer. This is their own side. Mary Trump, that's Trump's sister. These Democrats in the Senate betrayed the American people, and for what? Harry Sassoon he's very mad. And he kind of slipped up here. He says, pathetic. I can't believe we caved to the wannabe dictator and his goons thanks to the Democrats who voted no. It's kind of funny because Harry was saying this whole time that it wasn't the Democrats keeping the government closed. That's funny, Harry. Harry, tell me how could the Democrats be the ones who voted to open it if it was all on the Republicans? Huh? That's interesting. How did that work out? We have Nina Turner. Oh, Nina is, I'm glad most of you guys probably don't know who Nina Turner is. She's annoying. Annoying AF. Spineless Dems playing in our face all along. Why put them through this and get nothing? Career ending. Look at you, Chuck. Keith Olbermann, expel them. Hassanabi. Good old Hassan. You're the leaders of the party. Everyone knows you let the rotating villains concede with basically nothing because you're old and feeble and don't care about anything. Couldn't even make the left pro-Israel. Gavin Newsom, pathetic. Olivia Giuliani, you've got to be effing kidding me. That's after she ate 3 people. You know, she's trying to keep that weight down. She usually eat 4. Kyle Kalinske, F him. Joe from Jers, tonight was a very bad night. Bernie Sanders, tonight was a very bad night. How could they vote to open up the government? You can't open up the government unless it's giving we must shut down the government until it votes to give everybody free stuff all the time. Nobody should be working. Working is an oppression. I am Bernie Sanders and I approve this message. It's a bad night. Everybody should have a job just like I've never had a job. That's what you should be doing. I am Bernie Sanders. Yeah, it's man, I love it. Just inject it into my veins. We had old Sonny Hostin over here. I'm not even gonna play this because nobody wants to hear her voice. I don't want anybody's dogs to start shrieking, freaking out. That would be pretty awful. And so we'll leave Sonny Hostin here. But The View had their stuff to say about it. Oh, did I misspeak on Mary Trump? She's the niece, not the sister. My bad. Didn't his sister come out against him too, though? Or I'm getting him confused with RFK Jr. I don't know. So much betrayal within families. And once you leftist and your brain rot has set in, and somebody actually thinks for themselves and votes MAGA or runs on the MAGA agenda, tries to, give America back. By the way, MAGA is like, I've said this 100 times, but I got to say it again for those in the back. MAGA is very much the Democrats of the 60s kind of, it's like, it's not a traditional Republican movement at all. It's very much what the Democrats in the 60s were like, combined with the moral majority part of the right that came in around the 70s. So you combine the social issue conservatism of like the Christian right with the populist kind of workers agenda of the 1960s Democrat a la JFK, and all of a sudden you have MAGA. You could sprinkle a little bit of Reagan tax cuts in there and deregulations. Okay, so you sprinkle a little bit of that in there. MAGA is just a conglomeration of all this. But in many ways, it's much closer to the 1960s Democrat than any other Republican party at any point. And honestly, I mean, we're not the country club Republicans. Like, screw those guys. We don't want to be them. But we're also not the crazy Dems, crazy leftists, which they let them take over their party. And that started back, the Democrats were always the ones who let the socialists in. So don't get me wrong. But they had some good ones back in the day. Even Clinton, who was a hardcore lefty, but he was also a spineless coward who only cared about power and staying in office. He wasn't a true believer like his wife. All Clinton wanted was to be popular and to be able to diddle any of the girls he wanted to diddle, in more ways than illegal ways as well. But the point is with Clinton is Newt brought in the hardcore conservative Republican Congress with a contract to America. And so Clinton from then on ruled he filled out the rest of his term as basically a super moderate Democrat / moderate Republican. And that's MAGA is closer to that than it was to like the Bush neocon Republicanism. So it's hilarious to me how they just freak out, like, how the RFK people, his family, traditional Democrats would oust RFK, even though he's much closer to JFK than any of them would be nowadays on the left. Or Trump's family, he was a traditional Democrat growing up, and becoming to prominence in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He was much more of that Clinton Democrat, JFK Democrat. And yet all the families they kept going left with the Democratic Party and the ones who could think for themselves left. So anyways, it's just fascinating how it all breaks down like that. How says my talk went on perfume later. Oh my God. Brett says, I bet Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries got something out of it. It's probably snowing at both their houses right now. Oh my God. You guys are the best. That's why I read the chat. You guys make me laugh. She's a Notre Dame law grad. He was happy to take credit for GOP success. Oh, Clinton? Absolutely he was. Oh, I mean, like I said, what they did, he read the room. He said that he saw that it was popular what the Republicans were doing with Newt's leadership. And he was like, okay, I'll do that. If that's what keeps me in office and keeps me popular, and it worked, for Clinton had many, many faults, still does to this day. Terrible man, evil man in many ways, but you can't say he wasn't a skilled political athlete. He sure was. He, the way he beat Bush and Ross Perot, I mean, Bush would have won if Ross Perot hadn't gotten in, but you know what? We're better off for that because Bush was just a hardcore one world government, deep state stooge. And, who knows? We can always play the look back card, but I always look at like, man, the country was always just going to keep declining no matter what. So the way we got here and got Trump is the best thing for us all. Celebrity deathmatch, Whoopi versus Austin. Oh my God. How many people remember Celebrity Deathmatch? I mean, I love that show. It was hilarious. But I bet most people in the chat don't even remember it. So that was a great show. That was back when MTV actually did good things. Very long time ago. 27 years ago. Man, that's crazy. Also going on tonight, these angry libs. This is at Berkeley tonight at a TPUSA event, Turning Point USA. At Berkeley, they're just raging, and you better believe some of this is taking out that anger from the shutdown ending. But Antifa showed up at Berkeley, so pray for anybody who was there for the TPUSA side that was on the conservative side that they're safe. But the tantrums are raging, and I know we lost those elections last Tuesday, and there's a lot of reasons for that, as I've already discussed. But here's the deal. If the Dems keep showing us who they are, there's going to be much more attention paid to the midterms. There's going to be a lot more people motivated to go to the midterms because A, they're national, and B, now that politics are everywhere, all the time, if the economy is improving, people are going to be motivated to come back out and vote and keep things going for the Trump side of things. Trump's going to campaign for the midterms like he did for the presidency. Yeah, just bank on that right now. So I'm not worried. Let them keep showing us who they are. Again, pray for people that they're safe. But other than that, let the Dems have their tantrums, man. Let them freak out. This is a good thing. And then, hopefully this keeps up. The National Guard gets in. We get to smack them down. Alan says he's never seen Celebrity Deathmatch. So Alan, just so you know, man, now I'm getting warm wearing a beanie. I guess it's not cold enough for a beanie yet. I guess you guys are going to have to deal with my hair tonight. And that's a rare. I don't have my hat. Celebrity Deathmatch was an awesome show. It was claymation where they would animate different celebrities fighting each other to the death, and they would just kill each other in the most insane ways, and it was hilarious. And the mockery of the celebrities was just fantastic. So Alan, if you want to get a laugh someday and there was a celebrity maybe you hated in the late 90s, early 2000s, I recommend YouTubing Celebrity Deathmatch and seeing if that celebrity you hate was in one of those, because they probably were. Ever Trumper says Bush Sr. more evil than Bill, and that's saying a lot. Oh yeah, Bush Sr. and more dangerous. Clinton, the thing that saved us from Clinton, because if it had been Hillary, watch out. But the thing that saved us from Clinton was his ego and his laziness. The dude just wanted to be popular, and he reveled in that. And so once he realized like it was going to get hard to get past any of like this leftist agenda that his wife was pushing him to get done, he was like, screw this. I'm done. I'm going to let the Republicans run Congress. I'll put a veto up every once in a while. And other than that, I'm just going to sign off and I'm going to party with the celebrities and, ride out this popularity contest and just do what I can in little places where there's no pushback. And that was it. If it had been Bush Sr., with his connections to the CIA, being the former CIA director, his years and years and years in government, being entrenched in that deep state, running it, you better believe we would have had a lot more awful things happen heading into Bush 2. So that would have been interesting. Although, yeah, who knows? That's a huge what if. Because if Bush wins in 92, in 96, he has to step down. And who would have come up next? Because Bush Jr. was still governor of Texas at the time, not running. So it would have been interesting. Would have been very interesting to see how that all worked out. Lochtefeld says Clinton and Dick Morris developed a political strategy named triangulation that worked. Oh, yeah. Well, Dick Morris is a smart dude. And Dick Morris was so smart that after the Clinton years, he converted to become a Republican, conservative Republican, because he was so sickened by what he saw on the Democrats. So Hillary's more evil than Satan. I don't know if that's possible, but I think they're best friends. Let me put it that way. Okay, here's a breakdown. I've heard a lot of people kind of, bummed, and I get it. We didn't get the filibuster removed, which would have been a huge win. We didn't make it past the 60 days, which would have been another win. Get a lot of automatic layoffs and cuts, but it still was a win. And, and I was saying it was always going to be very difficult to make it those 60 days. Now, it looked for a little bit there like it might happen. But after they won those, the massive wins in the elections last week, I think that at first it looked like it was going to embolden the Democrats. But over the weekend, as the airline stuff was getting much worse, getting up to Thanksgiving, they were worried. The Democrats got worried that they were going to lose the momentum of the elections and people were going to start turning on them. So instead of holding strong and pushing this shutdown further, they were finally like, okay, Republicans, we'll give you guys everything you offered to us in the original deal. And we're not asking for anything else. We're not going to push anything else. Just let's get this over with. And, here, let me show you. This is really interesting from John, what's his face? John Kennedy. Listen to what he said was going to happen, because it's exactly what happened. This was a week ago.
But if Chuck told some of the Democrats to go join the Taliban, they would say, where's the line, Mr. Leader? But that's why we're in a shutdown.
Yeah.
And here's how it's going to end, I predict. Chuck will go to 6 or 8 of his members and say, look, we got to get this thing back open. So I want you to vote to open it up, but don't tell anybody I told you so. I'm going to keep voting no so I can try to save face. Yeah. But you vote to open it back up.
Yes.
Now, nobody will be fooled. And the risk that Senator Schumer runs by doing that, there's a fine line between looking like you're in charge and mutiny. He doesn't want it to look like a mutiny.
So, interestingly, that's exactly what happened. Schumer, acting all angry, never actually told them not to vote to open things back up. The eight that defected and voted with Republicans. He never said that in any of his messaging, but he did complain about it. So it was all static messaging. Just don't look at me. Don't really pay attention to me. Just I'm trying to get you to look over there. John Kennedy here calls it out. He knows how the Senate works. It's all scheming behind the scenes. So the Democrats, after the elections, they got all that momentum. Then it was time. Schumer went to these people, was like, okay, it's time to end it, but we got to do it in a way that doesn't look like we all bailed. And so he sent the most moderate Democrats, who, by the way, none of them have elections next year. All of them out of the 8 are either retiring or don't have a re-election until 28 or 30. So they're all clear. None of them will face repercussions in primaries or in the next election. That was all by design. So the Democrats are the ones who want this to end. Now, they were walking a really fine line right here because the Democrats' base is crazy people. And sorry, my dogs are barking and I might have to go stop them if my son doesn't do it because my kids are sleeping. Okay, he got them outside. Good. Stupid dogs. Oh, why are they barking at this late? Anyways, where was I? What he wanted was, so what they're trying to do is the Democrats are like, okay, we don't want to keep this going and people start turning on us, even though we think we're winning this. Well, at the same time, because their base is crazy, they run the risk of their base saying like, whoa, hold on, you guys didn't get everything you told us you were going to get. And so now there's mutiny and defection. And okay, my stupid dogs are not stopping. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry, my bad. Awesome. Got kids, man. Can't have dogs barking late at night. And then my son puts them outside and he leaves them there where they're going to wake up the whole neighborhood. Good times. So anyways, let's look at how a good positive way to look at this. Because I get it. I'm disappointed. I really wanted to see the filibuster go. The odds of that happening are extremely low because the Senate is a big club and we ain't in it. It's 100 people. They all play by these stupid rules, and Republicans are still not ready to admit that the other side is crazy. Not the old school Republicans. The MAGA Republicans are. But we maybe have 10, 20 MAGA Republicans in the Senate. The other 30, 35, all traditional Republicans, conservatives, playing the game, neocons. It's amazing Trump gets them to do as much as he does. That tells you the control on their backgrounds or whatever behind the scenes that he's got over them, that he's able to get them to play ball as much as they do. But the filibuster, that's one of those things that's like sacred to them because that's the thing that makes it so Congress doesn't really have to get anything done. So if we're going to get rid of that, it's going to take a lot of work. Alan says my dogs barking are not stupid. They're informing something's up. No, Alan, my dogs are stupid. My dogs are stupid. The little one was bothering the big one, trying to get her to play, and it upset the big one, so they were barking. That's literally what happened. They were not telling me anything was going on. Also, my dogs will bark at anything. They'll bark at a leaf that flies in front of the window. They bark at everything. They are stupid. I love my dogs, and I've had dogs my entire life. The ones I have right now, the two I have right now, they're legitimately stupid. So that's just being honest. Just being honest. So this is how we won it though. This is how the shutdown went down for the left, why they're so mad and why we won. Okay. So the Democrats gave up a guaranteed subsidy extension. This never should have been an argument in the first place. They extended this, or they created these subsidies because of COVID, made it so Obamacare, which is failing, felt cheaper for everybody all of a sudden, and tried to get us all stuck in the Obamacare cycle again and just getting all fighting for the government to just keep extending it, keep paying on this, and eventually letting it bankrupt our whole healthcare system so that we're forced to go to socialized medicine in the mess because the people will demand it at that point if it all collapses. This is all part of their plans. The reason Obamacare was set up in the first place. A, pay off the insurance companies and make them a ton of money, get all those lobbyists happy, and B, down the road, collapse the system. That's what Obamacare is all about. That's why it's so terrible. But we stopped it. We stopped those subsidies, and now we have Trump out there talking about a new plan. We got, we actually have Republicans trying to come up with something for healthcare to make it better going forward. This is a win. It's a huge win. Out of 40 days of leverage, they caved first. The public image is terrible. And also on top of that, they didn't get the push to keep funding illegal immigrants. They wanted $1.5 trillion put back into Medicare in order to take up illegal immigrants' health care over the next 10 years. What was taken out in the One Big Beautiful Bill, they wanted that all put back in. They didn't get any of that. Republicans reversed 150,000 federal layoffs. Now, here's the deal on that. I think this is a gimmick by the Republicans, because on paper, this is like grown. This sucks. They're bringing them back. But here's the deal. They're only funded through January 30th, and many of these people laid off have been gone for months. They now know that the president has a target on their backs. Do you really think most of these people are coming back? There's no way. There's absolutely no way. But this gave the Democrats something to say they won. That's basically all it is. I guarantee you that the vast majority of these people are not coming back. Do you really want to go back to a job where you know you're the next cut as soon as they get the chance? Unless you're desperate, you don't go back. Some of these people are probably desperate for a paycheck, but other than that, most of them aren't going back. The other on the rest of them who've been gone 2, 3, 6 months, they are probably already found other work. So I'm just telling you, I don't think it's one thing to say we're reversing it. It's another to make it happen. But that's so that Democrats could say they got to win. So SNAP and veterans funding for a year. You know why this is a big deal? Because it's funded for a full year, it means it will not become an issue before the midterms. So that's a win. Even though it says Republicans gave up, that's actually a win. Excludes illegal aliens, and then promised Dems a Senate vote on ACA. Why this is a clear Trump GOP win. They got their exact bill, $0 for ACA flat funding. Made Democrats fold after 40 days of pain. Next showdown, January 6th or January 30th, with bigger GOP majorities and total control. Now, I don't quite know why he's saying bigger GOP majorities. I think he's confusing it with with 27, but whatever. Anyways, we won the shutdown, and so again, the Democrats freaking out are the proof of that. Let them freak. Trump it's a major win. It's an image issue for the Democrats, and it proves, and it's going to demoralize their side to that. You can't cross this guy and win. You just don't have what you need, and that's a clear win. Was this their lives are working dogs, so not Democrats? What? Oh, Alan says, I have a German Shepherd. They let me know it's in the yard that's not supposed to be there. Yeah, German Shepherds are smart. I have 2 mutts. So it's not the same thing. My dogs could lead the Democratic Party. They'd be in a much better place. I don't even know about the GOP thing. That's funny. Moody makes you wonder how much money some of Congress is getting in kickbacks from Obamacare. Well, they're not getting it directly from Obamacare. What they're getting it from, what's up, Big B? What they're making their money from is the lobbyists. So the insurance companies love Obamacare. You know why? Because Obamacare guarantees the money, because Obamacare sends the money directly to them. All that subsidy money goes to the insurance companies. So it's one big Ponzi scheme to just get the insurance companies tons of money. And I showed you the graph last night of how all the insurance companies have just like majorly grown in their stock evaluation since Obamacare passed. Excuse me. All of them up between 500 to 1,000% in their stocks. And it's just crazy. Their value has gone insane since Obamacare. Meanwhile, people are suffering. The healthcare has gotten worse. The healthcare is a bigger problem than ever in our country. It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. And we just had 3 years for 3 years where the subsidies kicked in place from Biden to make us all forget how bad the healthcare system was. Because yeah, we still got to deal with it, but at least a lot of people, their monthly payment went way down. So people were like, I'm not going to complain. I'm paying $25 a month on my premium. And that's really what it was like. People got extremely low premiums because of these subsidies. So it was like, oh, well, at least I have healthcare. And so for 3 years, even though it cost an arm and a leg to pump out that money to the people, everybody's like, the average voter who's not paying attention is just like, cool, my health insurance is cheaper. And so, yeah, even though the healthcare system sucks, they're like, well, at least I'm not paying as much. But now it's all coming together to just this mass perfect storm of crap. And that's not going to be fun. Brett says, amazing how we had 49 Republican votes who defected. 49 Republican votes for what? For the shutdown? I mean, Rand Paul defected. He was mad that they were not going to subsidize. Oh my God. Don't get me started on the libertarians, Massey and Rand Paul. I love some of the stuff Rand Paul's done going after Fauci in public. But man, they brought a bill up that said Congress shouldn't get paid while the shutdown's going on. And one of the guys who blocked it, Rand Paul, Mr. Libertarian Rand Paul. He said, I'm not trying to get less people paid. I'm trying to get more people paid. He's such a hypocrite, man. The libertarian should be all about cutting that money, but not when it's his own pockets. And then on this shutdown, one of the reasons he defected from voting for it, and we needed 8 Democrats instead of 7, is because the Republicans weren't going to give him basically a handout for hemp producers in his state, because there's some new regulation going in for hemp, and he didn't want it to go into effect and for hemp producers in Kentucky. So he was like, I'm holding out until you guys pass this. Anyways, his amendment got voted down, and yeah, it's super annoying. Super annoying. Yeah, give that Obamacare money to the American people. Trump will be like a dog. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a huge, great thing to push on and get the messaging out there. Speaking of insurance, this is very interesting. Up to 40% of Obamacare enrollees never file a claim. So, the whole Obamacare thing started with, let's get everybody insured. Well, I remember back in 2010 when this was being debated, the great Rush Limbaugh and other people fighting against it. One of their big things was like, well, a lot of these people don't want to be insured or don't need to be insured. They're like 25 and super healthy. They don't need this. But Obamacare was like, no, we're going to push everybody to get insured. Remember, they put the penalty in, which then was taken away. But then with the subsidies and everything, they tried to make it so that even if you were single, making under a certain amount of money, you could get cheap healthcare. And but it's not cheap. It's just the government's subsidizing it. But what it is like all these people, I mean, right here, 40% of people enrolled in Obamacare never filed a claim. But the insurance companies are still getting paid. So there you go. I mean, that's all you need to know. This is Roger Marshall, Senator. I mean, listen.
I want to turn to talk about fraud just a little bit more. Get this, 35 to 40% of Obamacare recipients that are enrolled in Obamacare never file a claim. Let me say that again. There's 24 million people on Obamacare. 40% of those people never file a claim. These are ghost people. They don't even know they're on Obamacare. They've been falsely enrolled in Obamacare. Now, some people would say, "Oh, but there's always some people that don't file a claim." It's usually more like 10%. More like 10% of people in a pool of insurance products are not filing the claim. In this case, it's 35 to 40%. And overall, I think we could say that this group of people in Obamacare is a high-risk group. Big cities like Chicago have pushed people that took early retirement have pushed.
Never filing a claim that were auto-enrolled. How crazy is that? So that's good money for the insurance companies, man. What a scam. But here's Trump tonight on Laura Ingraham talking about what he wants to do with the insurance money that would go to these subsidies.
Well, I watched Obama from when this thing came about. As you know, I opposed it very strongly. Unfortunately, we had a couple of negative votes, which should never have happened. But I said it's going to be a disaster, and I was exactly right. The premiums have gone up like rocket ships, and I'm not just talking about recently. I'm talking about for years they've been going up. And he said premiums will go down. Everything will be wonderful. It's horrible health insurance at a very high price. And what I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance. It's so good. The insurance will be better. It'll cost less. Everybody's going to be happy. They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance. And they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump care, call it whatever you want to call it, but anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president. Well, I want.
Trump will take every single opportunity to take a dig at Obama he could ever get. I love it. I love to see how they work this out. This is going to be very interesting, how they do this. So, if it was up to me, and this would take time to implement, there'd have to be a phase-out system. But it would be like, get the government out of healthcare completely. Let's get it all privatized, and then there's maybe some partial government access to healthcare if you're a single mom and the dad dies or something like that. And you're just getting back on your feet, you got babies, something like that, like the most extreme situations is where the government steps in. But other than that, you're on your own. We got to get past this whole idea healthcare is a right, and instead work towards, one of the reasons healthcare wasn't a huge deal from a government standpoint, going back to the 70s and the 80s, because in the 60s, we were so healthy. Americans were incredibly healthy. In 1977, we had the healthiest year on record. Cancer was so low, the American Cancer Association almost went out of business. That's how good things were in America. Heart disease was extremely low. There was no obesity. That's what it was like. And then in come Fauci in the 80s and let the smoking companies buy up all the food companies and make all this addictive crap, and then turn a blind eye to it and get the FDA to approve all this nonsense and speed up and, big pharma and just push medicine all the time instead of actual health. And look where we got, look where we're at 40 years later. We're the sickest, as other than the fact that we still have a high life expectancy because we don't have a huge natal issue where kids die before they're 5 years old. Other than that, that's the only thing that makes us different from a sicker generation back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. It's insane. But if we could get back to healthiness, not as many people need health insurance. You used to be able to pay out of pocket to the doctor who lived in town. They'd come to your house. I've seen Doc Hollywood. It's a great movie, by the way. Michael J. Fox, just good stuff. But we didn't need that. You didn't need it. You could go to the doctor, pay cash. It's $50, $25, whatever it was for a small checkup. And you were in and out and you were done. The doctor would actually prescribe real medicine, maybe some sunlight, maybe some walking and exercise. Maybe, prescribe you some ibuprofen for a headache, not try to put you on an SSRI. Entirely different how much things have changed in 40, 50 years. And that was without the government involved in healthcare at all. As usual, The government ruins almost everything. And, we can't go back overnight. We just can't do it with the snap of our fingers. And that's what makes me so mad about some of the people upset about Trump right now. That they wanted him to become a wrecking ball, just come in. The libertarians, they voted for him. And a lot of other people, they just thought you come in and Trump hopefully will break it all down. Well, the problem is if you do that, you end up causing mass instability because of the poverty, because so many people are dependent on the government. You create mass instability, and then you lead to a revolution that's much, much worse than what we already are dealing with. Because when people get desperate, when they do revolution out of desperation and not out of vision, like our founding fathers did, but you do it out of desperation, that's when you get communism, totalitarianism. That's when you get terrible stuff. Just look at Africa. Just look at Asia, South American countries. What happens when we don't want that. That's what happens when a government absolutely collapses. So you have to phase it out, and you just do a little bit at a time, make it possible. So I think this is part of that. It's giving the people an ability to make choices, and once you do that, you start getting prices down. You can start phasing out the government altogether. And that's what we should be doing. I mean, the government, it does work for us. It is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Our tax dollars should be going to help us. They shouldn't get to control everything. So I like the idea of, if a government program is in effect, well, the best way to run that program is to just have money you can directly access to use for that program, instead of the program getting paid, the companies getting paid for you to use. I think that's just a much better way to run our government and keep the private sector strong as well. What's that? Brett says, no different with animals. The VCA, which is a veterinarians, owned by Mars Corporation. Mars bars? Really? They're producing all the substandard pet food, feeding them and treating them in the same criminal. It's terrible, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. There's still some good local vets, but that's happening all over. I mean, I believe with the vets, I've actually heard they were owned by major corporations, a lot of vets now. I didn't know it was Mars bars. That's crazy. The food corporation. But my brother-in-law, he runs an HVAC business. He's self-employed, but he says his competitors now in all the HVAC systems, he's like, none of them are small businesses anymore. They're all owned by hedge funds, and they all collude with pricing and everything. It's insane. And it's all because the government overregulates, kills small businesses. Every time you get Democrats or whoever in there saying like, we need more regulations to stick it to the billionaires. They actually do. They actually kill small businesses. Regulations hurt small businesses and allow major corporations to keep growing. And anytime, if you ever deal with, if say you have a stupid college student son or grandson, and they're arguing with you at Thanksgiving about sticking it to the billionaires, all you got to say is, kid, the last 50 years, they've been putting in more and more regulations and policies to do exactly what you said. And how much more powerful are corporations now than they were 50 years ago? I'll shut them up real fast because they'll actually have to think. And all you got to do is show them that. I mean, we have the biggest wealth discrepancy in history between the wealthiest and the poorest in our nation. The 1% now owns more than the entire middle class, which is insanity. And listen, most billionaires are not necessarily bad people, but a lot of bad people are billionaires. But it's the government that enables it. The government keeps making this happen, and picking winners and losers. And so, HVAC, they are, it's bad. It's really bad. Whenever you guys need a service, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, you name it, something around your house, try to find somebody who's local, who, you can kind of usually tell they might have worse branding. They might not look as fancy. They probably don't wear uniforms. Those people are all corporate now, even though they're trying to make it look like they're not, or act like they're local. So, Alan says, my vet local gives me a better price with cash. Absolutely. Not credit card. 100%. With credit card, they have to pay 3% fees minimum. So it's definitely cheaper to pay cash, or for them to handle cash. Now a lot of places won't even handle cash. We've gotten so disconnected. And see, one of the biggest frustrations with Trump is that the people who understand this, like, want this to happen now, or they want the whole system to just be burnt down. And that's not who Trump is. That's not what he's ever been like. That's not what he was ever going to be. But what he can be is the person who rights the ship and points us in the right direction, because this is going to take time. If we want to get to where we really want to be as a country, like up and down the pipe, I mean, that's a lifetime of work. But even to get 85, 90% there, it's going to take 10 years minimum. And that's if we keep we get Trump, we keep getting better Republicans in the elections, into the Senate and the House. We get voter ID passed. We get J.D. Vance as president. It's still going to take 10, 15 years to get to where we're there, even 85, 90%. But what we can be in the meantime is we can be in a much better trajectory. We can still be very prosperous. We can still see justice come back to the nation. But the whittling down of the government is going to take a while. It's going to take a while. And the patient will be rewarded for it. The impatient, I've said this many times, but if we're impatient with Trump and we ditch him, first of all, where else are we going to go? It's either go to the left or give your vote to some, third party person who's never going to have a chance, or just give up and don't vote at all, and then just cry as it all comes down. Become a libertarian, basically. But if we don't push the MAGA agenda, if we don't stay with it, if we're not patient, and this thing falls apart, we don't have another option anytime soon. It probably won't. This is probably the only opportunity we're going to get in my lifetime to change things, to really, really change things. And so, there's all this criticism right now of Trump. It's coming from every angle. He's the reason we lost the midterms. He's been focusing too much on foreign policy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, even if I agreed with them, which I don't, it's like, okay, what's your point? This is the one chance we got. It's the one chance we got to fix the economy, to fix healthcare, to fix foreign policy, to get us out of wars, to bring prosperity back to our nation, to actually have a chance of real justice, to maybe get our elections fixed. This is a chance we got. And I think it's all happening. I really do. But the one thing that would make it stop is if the support bails out. And the only thing that gives me nightmares, which it doesn't really, but there's one thing I could see disrupting all this, and that's if they landed some kind of bombshell against Trump. Like if they were able to either prove something in the Epstein files, which I don't think we'd ever have to worry about that, but if they came up with something fake that everybody believed, that's the kind of thing that if they could kill Trump politically, then it's over. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, just so you guys know. But we lose the support, he becomes impatient, and we allow idiots to get back in charge, or psychopaths to get back in charge. It's over, guys. We don't get another run at this. Not in our lifetimes. I really don't believe so. God's given us one chance. We prayed this in. We got an unlikely hero. We got an unlikely chance. It's all set up. But if the Democrats get in, if there's even one chance they get in 28, say they destroy J.D. Vance and they're able to ruin Trump his second half of his term so much that everybody turns on MAGA and they get back in, it's over. They will stack the Supreme Court. They will nuke the filibuster. They will pass all kinds of insane voting laws. They'll reopen the border. It's going to get crazy. It'll get crazy real fast. So again, if you ever get frustrated with Trump, just remember how much worse it'll be otherwise, and that at least, even if it's not fast enough for you, at least we are making progress in the right direction. Because if you think we're going to have another shot at this, you're crazy. You're crazy. Is that why Trump's pushing for crypto? I think it's a big part of it. I do. I think there's a couple reasons. I don't think he ever thinks it's going to be our real tender. Trump is a dollar guy. He wants to reinvigorate the dollar and back it with something real like gold. But with crypto, he sees an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for a lot of people to make wealth. And Trump's a pragmatist. He just sees something that could be huge, and he's like, let's make it a part of everything. So I think that's part of it. Your local HVAC saved you $9,000. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. But I do think he's also trying to break the corrupt financial system of the banks. And that's a big part of it as well. Toe says, seriously, blaming Trump? There's still entrenched enemy and agencies. Trump only gets like 4 hours of sleep. Should he just stay awake 24/7? Yeah, that's right. It is a zero-sum game, Toe. I completely agree with you. Brett says, I hope MMTLP will be settled by the next election. I hope so too. I really do, Brett. There's a lot I hope happens by the next election. There's still a lot of justice to be had. I have no idea how it plays out. I do believe that I believe if we fight, if you don't give up, we keep going, and the people don't quit, we'll get all of our wins. I really do. And that's how we gotten this far. But we can't take our foot off the gas. And, it's like you got to believe and you can't give up. The only things you give up on in life are the things that ultimately don't matter. But the things that matter most, it's not even an option to give up, in my opinion. Okay, let's keep moving on because there is a lot of good stuff happening. Harmeet Dillon, who this woman is just a total badass. She is great. Assistant AG Harmeet Dillon pushing to ensure mail-in ballots must be received on election day to be counted. The case is about to be heard by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court picked it up. And so they are going to hear this case and decide if votes that come in after election day can be counted or not. If they rule that they can no longer be counted, that's going to change California for one thing. Look at this. Go back and count how many election races were stolen after election day over the last 20 years. Listen, even in the House in 2024, we lost about 3 to 5 seats by votes coming in after election day. The Republicans could have 225 seats right now instead of 220, and a much stronger majority if it wasn't for these late ballots coming in. Same with the Senate. We'd have at least one more Senate seat, maybe 2. So this is how they steal elections all the time, all the freaking time. I mean, think about in 2020. I mean, look at this. The numbers in the hundreds, even not counting 2020. So 2020. The day after, which was, early in the AM, 3 or 4 a.m., that's where they stole Wisconsin and Pennsylvania when they got ballot dumps of 300,000. So if the Supreme Court rules against this would have changed the election of 2020. It would have changed parts of the election of 2024. And going back, this is how they've stolen elections forever. Just keep pumping them in. And think about with Kamala in this last election, if it wasn't for all those votes that came in late, Trump would have won the popular vote with like 51 million. California was counting votes for like 4 weeks after the election. Oh, we found some more. More is coming in. Hardy. Yeah, okay. So the Supreme Court rules against this, changes everything. It cleans up a whole lot of voting. And it'll stop all those late ballots coming in, those batches of ballots coming in. So this is going to be huge. Another massive swing for election integrity. So they're already looking at the Voting Rights Act, which if they strike that down, the race-based districting, we could gain like 20 House seats right there. And then if they strike this down, you really help, not fully, but you help clean up elections a lot. And so that shores up elections going forward. And we still haven't even got nationwide voter ID yet, which I believe will come eventually. So just great stuff. Alan says, I think Trump using the dollar by U.S. natural resources with gold and crypto, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, I think we'll get there. I think he's going to tie it back or try to get it tied back to gold and then have Bitcoin be its own thing. But we'll see. And then XRP will be like transactions and, you know, they'll be different places for different things. What's up, See Ya Human? Good to see ya. And then this is awesome, too, that Trump pardoned the 2020 alternative electors. So these are all people who were set up from the states in 2020 when there was all that fighting over the election. These people were ready to go in and vote for Trump if they decided to re-award a state to Trump. And so they had the alternative electors ready to go. And the Democrats went after them as if they were criminals. So it's not criminal at all. The Democrats have actually done this before. Alternative electors have been a thing for 150 years. And so Trump pardoned them, but he also pardoned people who fought the legal battles, like Rudy Giuliani. He didn't pardon Jenna, which is hilarious because she she backtracked. She pleaded guilty, and so she could turn on Trump, betray him, stab him in the back, and that didn't work well for her because now she's convicted. She's guilty. She had to serve whatever time it was she served in her penalty. She got disbarred, and she did it all to get Trump, to help them get Trump, and then he skated free and now is pardoning everybody except her. But hey, that's why you don't bite the big dog, you know. You don't betray him. And again, you know, that's just another good example of like why I think it's not that Trump's immune, but I do believe there is a spiritual aspect to this. And I believe that as long as Trump is actually fighting the battle he's been commissioned to fight for America. And I do believe it's by God. I really do. And I've gone over a million reasons why, but just his protection through everything is one of the number one reasons I believe it. But I believe he's going to be divinely protected as long as he's fighting for the people. I really do. Now, you know, if he steps out of that, goes selfish, but at this point, I don't think we'll see that. And so that's why I just don't worry about him falling apart in these next few years. I think we're going to continue to see things we haven't seen before. And people are going to keep going back to history and being like, well, based on history, you know, this is what's going to happen. Trump's going to lose the midterms and he's going to be a lame duck president, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, based on history, we don't have presidents who lose an election and then come back in the next election and win. It only happened one other time ever. So that doesn't happen. We don't have government shutdowns that last 40 days. We just set the record there. There's so many things with Trump that never have happened before. So yeah, while history rhymes, it doesn't repeat. And Trump, in many ways, is a new thing over and over again. And so anytime people are like, well, this is what usually happens, I'm like, okay, well, we're not in the usual time anymore, are we? D6 says, glad to see them apart. Amen. Lucid, what's going on? Good to see you. All right, a couple little quick hitters here. I did not know this. So did you guys hear about the job report last month? It wasn't an official report because the government was shut down, but coming out from data from many job sites and whatsoever, they figured out that it was the biggest month of job losses since before 2008. Okay, worse than anything in 2008. The media was blaming Trump, but Peter St. Ong, who's an awesome economist, looked into it and says almost all of it was government layoffs from the shutdown, NGOs, dying mainstream media, and deportations. AI barely made a dent. So everybody's freaking out about those job numbers. It was actually the kind of job numbers, job layoffs we want to see. Less government, NGOs dying, mainstream media dying, and deportations. I love it. So again, we're winning even when the initial reporting sounds like we're losing. So that, I just thought that was awesome and had to share. Daryl Strawberry got a pardon from Trump. You can do crack and be pardoned. Hey man, that's the all-time leader in stolen bases. You treat him with respect. I bet he smoked some good crack though. What's up, Mr. Beautiful? How you doing? Like and subscribe. Thank you, Brett. Thanks for reminding everybody. Please like, please subscribe if you're enjoying what you're watching. If you want to be a part of the members live on Wednesday night, be sure to join. You can click in the description, get a free membership, also get into the Discord. Or if you don't care about the Discord, you can join here on YouTube and just watch the members lives. And that's a little bit cheaper, but you don't get a free month doing it that way. Alan says most Democrat people don't vote in midterms elections. Alan, excellent point. But I hate to inform you that you're wrong, but you're not wrong because you used to be right. So in the last 15 years, the Democrats base over here and the Republican base is over here. All right. Democrat base, low propensity voters, working class, less educated. That's what the Democratic voters were. Republican base in the Bush years, leading up into the early Obama years, higher educated, high propensity voters did better in midterms. You know what happened because of Trump? Switch. Trump now, the base of MAGA is now the low propensity voters, less educated, and obviously I don't mean less smart. At this point, I think college degree makes you retarded. So for the most part, not everybody obviously, but most of them. So not less educated, you know what I mean, but more college education, I should say. Democrats are those. And that means Democrats now, and this is why in 2022, the Republicans were supposed to have a red wave election. All the polls had it like Republicans are going to have a wipeout. Instead, they barely won the House. In 2024, the MAGA base turned out way more than the polls showed and overperformed because it was a presidential election year. In the Virginia elections that just happened, the Democrats turned out way more than Republicans. So it's swapped. So Alan, you were right. You used to be right, but that has changed in recent years and it no longer is true. Now the Republicans are, and this is why they are worried about the midterms, because they know this to be true. They know what happened in 2022. And if Republicans were now the high propensity voters, like we used to be in the Bush years, the midterms wouldn't even be a question. We would win it. Not even a question. We have the structural advantage. We have the electoral college advantage. It's a no-brainer, but that's no longer the case. So even though we have the structural advantage, we have the landscape advantage, geography advantage, we no longer have the turnout advantage in midterms. But so it means we're more likely to win presidential elections now and less likely to win midterms until the Supreme Court strikes down the Voting Rights Act and yada, yada, yada. Some other stuff happens that gives it the advantage so big to Republicans, but it has swapped. And so it's pretty crazy because now the Republicans truly are the party of the working class, which hasn't happened it took a very long time for that to happen. What Trump has done is it's more than generational. It is, it's a historical change what he's done to the political parties. It really is. It's just stuff that people never thought that would ever happen. Okay, so this was interesting. Speaking of the economy, and this is one of the reasons I think the economy will blow up even more next year. But listen to this little clip real quick.
Because of Biden's inflation, which averaged 5% over 4 years, that people on average lost about $3,400 in purchasing power, and they've gained about $1,200 this year, but there's still room to go. And so we're making up ground fast, but the fact is that people are still down about $2,000 relative to what their purchasing power was when Joe Biden took office. And so we understand that people feel like there's an affordability problem, but we're closing the gap fast.
So this is Kevin Hassett, National Economic Council director, a brilliant guy. I don't think he's lying. I'm pretty sure he's probably telling the truth. But I would like to know how this number is found out. But basically what he said is that the amount of wealth people lost over the Biden years, the purchasing power of the dollar, basically, how much value your dollar lost, in his last year, under Trump's policies, lowering energy costs, there actually has been a little wage bump, stuff like that, inflation slowing down. He basically said that we've recouped 1/3 of the buying power of the dollar back in just the first year of Trump's policies. And that's without the policies even really getting to seed themselves through the economy yet. So if he's right, this is just more proof that next year could be an absolute blowout as far as the economy goes. We could have a boom. And if next year the boom starts, then 2027 is going to be off the hook. So it could be really good times coming here soon, guys. You were trying to lift my heart and spirits. Okay, well, I appreciate that, Alan. I wish what you said earlier was still true. US 1 says, had a dental appointment today in New Jersey. My dentist said all 5 of his children voted. 3 votes were not counted. He verified on the website. Really? See, we're not going to get into that too much because until there's major evidence, I don't want to go into the whole these Virginia and New Jersey elections were stolen, or even if they weren't stolen, they were boosted to look much worse than they are. But do I believe it's probably true? Yeah, absolutely. Those are 2 states where their fraud's rampant. They're still run by Dems. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. Alan, reason for dividends is pressure on Supreme Court. 100%. It's not the only reason. It's obviously a huge boon to people who've been saying he's not focused on the domestic economy enough. And it's going to be a big pick-me-up to a lot of people. Just knowing that the tariff revenue could come to them for at least the first payout. So it's smart politically as well. But yeah, of course, because now, not only the Supreme Court, he's talking. So Alan asks if the dividends from the tariffs, the 2,000 Trump's saying that could come back as a dividend to people, if it's pressure on the Supreme Court. And the answer is partially yes. So what Trump did is, and it's a brilliant move. I was actually thinking about it today because one of the things that Alito was arguing in the case is that he was basically saying, well, how is this tariff power different than saying they can't import at all? Because it's like, you guys all agree you could do that. So here's the thing. If the Supreme Court is about to make a decision on the tariffs and there's any doubt in their minds which way to go, they're like trying to figure it out. I don't agree with this, but I agree with this. And I'm trying to, I will tell you, like, Thomas and Alito 100% are voting conservative, like voting for Trump on this one. Kavanaugh, I think, also. The question is Gorsuch, who's pretty libertarian, and libertarians like free trade. Barrett, who you never know which way she'll go. She's like old school, traditional Republican, country club Republican, and Roberts, who is very moderate. So all 3 of them could come over. I think one of them definitely will, but we need 2. So the question is there questions in their minds? Now, they have to deal with the fact that if they have questions in their mind, if they're not hardcore against it, Trump's going to win. He's going to win the case. And this is why. Because A, those justices do not want to be the reason we go into a financial crisis with having to pay back all the tariffs, which would severely hurt our government right now and our economy. They don't want to be a part of that. And they also, now that Trump is throwing out the the dividend idea, they don't want to be the bad guys who are like, well, no, you're not going to get that. Because that'll just make people pissed at the Supreme Court. What it also did, though, is it set up the Democrats to now have to keep fighting against tariffs and what Trump's doing. And people are going to be like, those tariffs put money in my pocket. So it's also brilliant politically against the Democrats as well. And that's another reason he did it. It makes it much tougher to fight against it. When people are expecting to get $2,000 one way or the other, whether it's through a stimulus check or through a tax rebate, whatever, however he wants to pull it off, he now has put everybody on notice that if they're fighting against it, they're also fighting against putting money directly in the people's pockets. So it's just a brilliant political move. Okay, a couple other things I saw today that were interesting. This is awesome. The Olympics are now going to ban transgenders from women's events. Now, this is so stupid. They finally discovered scientific evidence of advantages to being born male. Wow. Okay, a bunch of retards. You just now discovered that, but whatever. It's better now than never. So at least that's a win. Tucker Carlson had a fascinating discussion about chemtrails today. Interviewing a guy about this, saying the coordinating entities are the Department of Defense and DARPA. So anyways, if you're interested in chemtrails and what could be being put in our skies, you probably want to listen to the Tucker interview today. I love when Tucker has these people on. He gets really interesting people, I got to say. Like him or not, he does some incredible interviews. And then I just had to expose the fraud Ian Carroll again. He's out there on a podcast saying there's no blood when Charlie Kirk was shot. I don't know about you guys, but I saw it. I saw it happen. The shot on Charlie. There was a lot of blood. It was disgusting. And so to say this, like this Ian Carroll guy, he's awful. He is one of the worst. So I just got to keep exposing these people for how terrible they are. And guys, we are going through this. We're living through one of the great psyops right now. If you're online, if you're just living your life and all you're doing is watching my show at night, you're going to be okay. You don't have to deal with all this nonsense being spread online. But there's a massive psyop going on right now online, being spread by the likes of Ian Carroll and others like him, just trying to destroy MAGA, while acting like they're really the good guys and they're really the true MAGA. So anyways, I'm just going to keep exposing them. All right, let me get to the chat before I head off tonight. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Alan says he's noticed less chemtrails. Yeah, I've heard lots of people saying that. We didn't get a lot here where I was, so I can't say, but I've heard a lot of people that notice them say there's been less. Yeah, it is excellent on tariffs. I agree. Randy says, Stimmy check's a great move if inflation doesn't return. Yeah, so Randy, to that point, inflation won't return, and here's why. In other times in history, especially like going back to COVID when we got stimulus checks, those stimulus checks were printed. They wrote it into law and they just printed the money and sent it right to us. Brand new money. So all that was going into the money supply. And yes, eventually that causes massive inflation. This is not printed money. This is money already in circulation worldwide. And it's just dollars coming back to our shores in the tariffs, and then Trump using money already in the treasury to get to us. So it would be the absolute best case scenario for ever having a stimulus, is that this is money directly coming back to us that's already in circulation. So there won't be any inflation from it. So it's excellent. Florida outlawed them. I love it. CA Human says that's what you call full blood was pouring. I know. I just, the things they're saying about the Charlie Kirk stuff is just getting crazier and crazier. They're really reaching. And it's wild because you think with the popularity people like him and Candace Owens are getting right now with all their conspiracy stuff on Charlie Kirk, you'd think they wouldn't have to keep making stuff up. You'd think like they could just stick with the stuff that actually is questionable or weird and just follow that down a path. But you make stuff up, you start saying crazy things, it's easier to catch you and easier to lose your momentum. So I don't know, something really weird going on here. They're really trying to see dissension and doubt. I can tell you that. Brett says, don't get them started on chemtrails. Brett, let's have you on sometime. Let's talk chemtrails, man. Let's do it. So anyways, all right, guys. Well, it's time to call tonight. It's late. I will be back on again tomorrow night around the same time, 10:30. And, let's see what happens. Things are interesting right now. But again, we're winning. Don't listen to all the noise out there. We have bad nights. We'll lose a couple battles here and there, but do not give up. Do not get impatient, and we win. And that's how it's going. The trend is still in our direction. But before I go, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Thank you so much. Repost if you're on X. Join if you want to be a part of supporting the channel and get all the extra content as a result. I appreciate it for sure. And then if nothing else, hit that like, because at least that helps the algorithm. And as always, guys, let's pray before we get out of here, because prayer is one of the things that will give us the stamina to keep fighting even when things are hard, and will help us get miracles like Trump getting elected so overwhelmingly in 2024. So, or protect his life and the lives of others that are fighting for us. So prayer works. Heavenly Father, thank you for tonight and today. God, just bless everybody here, everybody watching. I just pray a blessing over them in Jesus' name. Lord, we pray a blessing over President Trump and his team. God, Lord, they need more wisdom now than ever, because the attacks are ramping up and now it's coming from within. And so, God, help them navigate this time. Help them get back to speaking directly to the voters, directly to the people, helping them, give them wisdom and how to empower the people to feel stronger about their lives and what can happen in the future, so that they have hope and are inspired and that they keep fighting as well. And Lord, we do pray that the midterms this next year will be a miracle and go against historical precedents, Lord. So we pray for that. We pray for that wisdom, and we pray for that boldness to do what needs to be done. And in all of that, we pray for protection. God, bring wisdom, justice, and peace and prosperity back to our nation, Father. And we see what you're doing. We see what what you're doing through these people. And God, we just pray for more of that it doesn't stop. And I pray that your people will not grow weary, but will keep fighting, Lord. Stay on top of things, keep voting, keep being a part of their communities. And so we get the full victory that I believe is available to us, and that we can then leave to our kids and grandkids and so on and so forth. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Love you guys. Have a wonderful night. We'll see what happens tomorrow.